watch it work, seeds of joy in every row. Come on down, we'll show you how what's fresh and green is growing now. At Bob's Market, we've got it all, from garden dreams to greenhouse halls. Catch the buzz, catch the show, where the best of the season grows. Tomatoes ripe, peppers bright, tips for keeping blooms in sight. Let's make your backyard glow. Tools and plants, advice for free. Bob's is where you want to be. At Bob's Market, we've got it all, from garden dreams to greenhouse halls. Catch the buzz, catch the show, where the best of the season grows.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Bob's Live, our weekly show right here on the internet. And, well, last week it wasn't quite so weekly because, about this time last week, I was actually eating lunch in Beckley on my way back from a conference. And it was a conference for CEA growers, or Controlled Environment Agriculture. So there's kind of a weird distinction there. Here at Bob's, we're a wholesale greenhouse, but we're in the floriculture side. So we grow mainly flowers. This conference, it was Controlled Environment Agriculture, which is also some greenhouses, but it's mostly indoor growing facilities that are producing vegetables. So it was a whole different side of the industry. So it kind of gave me some unique insight into a part of our industry that I don't normally work with. But I thought I would take you along for the ride. So I was able to shoot some video there. And in the video, I'll go into a little bit more about what I was doing there, because, what's a floriculture company doing at a vegetable conference, sort of. Let's check out the CEA Summit East. This week, I am in Danville, Virginia, at the CEA Summit East, and it is here at the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. Let's check it out. At the conference, there were about 300 attendees from around 30 different states and 8 different countries. And something kind of cool is I was actually a speaker at the conference. My panel shared about K through 12 educational outreach, and I talked about what we do at Bob's, and I also talked about Seed Your Future, which is an organization that I work with. Also, we got to tour their facility here, which is really cool because this side of agriculture, they're growing mainly hydroponic vegetables. So it kind of gave me a unique look into a side of the horticulture industry that I don't normally see. And they're doing some really cool stuff with cameras. One of the things that they're doing is using camera systems to track growth of the plants, which in a vegetable growing type setup, you want to make sure you're picking, say, your lettuce at the optimal time. So this system here actually scanned each individual plant. They're also working on developing different plant breeds. So here they're growing different tomatoes, looking for what are the best miniature tomatoes for hydroponic systems to give the best flavor, fruit size, ability to pick it, and a bunch of different factors. This kind of got back into my wheelhouse. They're growing edible flowers, so pansies and violas are edible. You can use them as garnishes on salads, and they're actually doing research there on growing them in hydroponic systems for the restaurant industry. So I thought that was really cool. And what they're using there is a system called NFT. So the nutrient solution flows in on one side and then out on the other. And right here they're doing trials of different herbs. So it was really kind of cool to see all of the technology being developed for hydroponic systems and indoor growing. So that was the CEA Summit East. So yeah, it was a really interesting event, and where I go to Cultivate every year. I've shared Cultivate on here. Um, Cultivate has about 30,000 people that attend it. This event was around 300, so it was a much more intimate setting, and I got to know a lot of people while I was there. And yeah, it was really neat to kind of sit down and be able to pick their brains and kind of see where our technologies match up. And yeah, it was really cool. I come away with a handful of business cards and folks that I can reach out to, and they're going to reach out to us. And yeah, that's what it's all about. Something that I like about our industry is everyone communicates and shares information and knowledge because you know everyone can sort of grow together that way. Um, but yeah, that was the CEA Summit. Up next, I thought we'd take a quick look at the weather because it kind of ties in to my other video. And right now, it's blooming dry out. um, we're what, going on 2 weeks now without rain. Um, right now it is 82 and sunny, so the temperature's a little bit above normal right now. We're averaging about 10 degrees above normal, and it is dry. So I know there were rumblings of hey, there might be rain on Sunday that I heard earlier in the week. Looking at the forecast now, yeah, it's not showing any rain through the weekend. Um, right now they're showing kind of a chance of rain Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So hopefully we get some rain then. Because yeah, it has been just super dry recently. And I mean, looking at the radar is nothing right now. um, along those lines, if you listen to the Keep Growing podcast, in our last podcast episode, I talked about EHD, um, which is a hemorrhagic disease that is affecting deer populations right now in our region. It's kind of localized right to kind of southern Ohio and a few counties in West Virginia. But it is a result of this dry weather that we're having. So the disease is spread by midges, which reproduce in kind of when a water hole starts to dry up and you have that mud around the edge of it. That's where they reproduce. And then they actually fly up the nose of deer, bite the deer, and spread the disease that way. So once we get cold weather and it kills off the midges, that'll stop the spread of that disease. But yeah, right now it's taking a toll. Driving home in the evenings, I drive by a few areas where you can actually smell the dead deer. But yeah, it's dry. It's not only affecting wildlife, it's also affecting our landscapes. So I know my summer landscape was starting to look pretty ragged because of just the heat and the dry weather. And where we'd had so much rain earlier in the season, a lot of my plants had really exploded in growth. And now we've got that dry weather and it couldn't really sustain it. So this past weekend, I went through and replaced my summer landscaping in my front yard. So took you along. So let's take a look at me replacing my summer landscape with some fall plants, which is all stuff that we've covered before. But it's always great to kind of hit on these things and do a nice refresher. So let's take a look at my fall landscaping. This afternoon I am working on my front yard. So I'm pulling out my flowers from summer. They were starting to look a little raggedy with this drier weather that we've been having. And I'm getting ready to replace them with fall plants. So I'm putting in a combination of mums, ornamental cabbage, and then also pansies. Now the mums and cabbage, they'll die back once we get into winter. The pansies, however, they'll keep growing on into springtime. So I'm going to kind of plant them strategically. So the pansies will fill in places like where the mums are. Okay, so here is my plan for this bed. We'll do these two ornamental cabbages and then kind of surround them with pansies. That way, whenever they die back, later on in the springtime when the pansies spring back to life, they'll kind of fill in around the edge of the bed. You'll kind of have these brown gross leftovers from the ornamental cabbage, but the pansies will kind of fill in around it. So it won't look quite so bad. I am kind of strategically, though, not planting as many pansies in this bed as I normally would. And that's because in the wintertime, the deer tend to hit this bed pretty hard. What they don't bother is the bed over in front of my house. So that's where I'm actually going to put most of my pansies. And then same thing here in this little bed, which is mostly just a mulch patch. I have a sign and a light that goes here that has our house number and our street. Obviously I'm not showing that on here. But I'm just going to put like a couple pansies on each side. Something just to kind of dress it up a little bit. Because we do have the remains of some gladiolus there. And some beautiful stone crest? Stone flower? Whatever it's called. Oh, I'll put it in a caption right there. There it is. That's what it is. Alright, when it comes to pansies, it is super easy. In fact, I'm holding the camera with one hand, and I can plant with one hand. So, as long as you have your soil well tilled up and prepared, all you have to do is grab the plant and just kind of work it back and forth right down into the soil. And then just kind of give it a pack right around it. My. Got a whole row of motorcycles going by here. It's a beautiful day for doing that, I guess. Alright, so yeah, it is that easy. Alright, so that is this flower bed planted and ready for fall and winter. And something that I forgot to mention is flowering cabbage like that behind me, where it has that purple center. As it gets colder outside, it actually causes the colors to become more vibrant. So that's something kind of interesting heading into winter, kind of around Thanksgiving, that time of year. It'll be hit by a few hard freezes by then, but usually around that time, depending on how harsh the fall into winter is, by that time they're usually pretty brilliantly colored. And that's my quick fall landscaping. For this and other great information, visit us online at bulbsmarket.com. And that is planting my fall landscape. That is all that I have for this week's episode of Bulbs Live. Next week, we actually have a workshop coming up down at Gallipolis at the Bassard Library. So it's going to be a workshop on terrariums. Unfortunately, if you haven't signed up, it has already booked and filled up. So, yeah. So, if you've signed up for it, though, I'll see you next week down there at the library, where we're going to be assembling some little terrariums to take home. And, well, until next week, keep growing.
We've got it all, from garden dreams to greenhouse halls. Catch the buzz, catch the show.